Hello, friends from Discovery Chiriquí. We are this morning with Francisco Serracin, an expert in coffee from Chiriquí, from the area of Roquette, who's going to help us to learn how to taste the different types of coffee. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you for the opportunity that you're giving me. A little bit of the history of the coffee in Panama. We are aware that in the year 1770, it's introduced in the port of Portobelo, according to the historian Ernesto Castillero, 25 pounds of coffee. And in the year 1790, it was discovered also in Portobelo, in a coffee farm that belonged to Pedro de Arza, that was discovered from the expedition Malespina. From there, we had coffee in Panama. Through the years, Panama has been making a name for itself thanks to the Association of Coffee Growers in Panama, that it was founded in the year 1970, an effort of producers with a vision we have accomplished very interestingly in order to place the coffee production of this country highly. Through the years, there are different varieties, such as geisha, that are the star of the coffee in this country. Internationally, Panama has become synonym of quality to talk about coffee or specialty, and quality is to talk about Panama. We Panamanians, we have to be proud of what we are developing nowadays with the coffee of this country. Moreover, the coffee in the province of Chiriquí, today we're going to taste 4 different varieties, very interesting, with that structure of varieties that we have in the province of Chiriquí. Very interesting, Francisco. I highlight the detail that Panama has achieved this position as to quality and not quantity. That we have achieved, that our coffee growers have achieved a very good quality with a very small quantity, and that talks very good internationally, definitely. The geisha, as I mentioned, is the star, but it's not the only coffee that enhance the characteristics of the different coffees that we produce. We have a typica of wash process, or born in a wash process, yapa in a natural process, and geisha in a natural process. As you have said, we are trying to give standards with no volume but quality. Our coffee growers have a very high, as you have said, we're trying to set standards not with volume but quality, and it's there where their coffee growers have a special role, because we know the commitment internationally that we have with quality, that what we sell is a cup of coffee, and we're trying to go beyond that. And in the last years, we have been working to develop different types of processes where the producers are trying to do more carbonic selection, fermentation, air fermentation, with different yeast, and that gives a wider spectrum of characteristics on the taste of the coffee that traditionally we are accustomed to give a very excellent cup of coffee. It is precisely that what gives the opportunity to have a product that is very nicely seen internationally. I want to invite our president, Felipe Benicio Rodriguez, to be with us. Thank you for the invitation, Oliver, Francisco. I'm truly pleased with our first production, nationally, internationally, of the Commerce Chamber of Chiriquí with our main product of coffee, the premium coffee, that had placed the name of Panama everywhere. Francisco had made an excellent on the presentation of coffee, and from now this product to open the gates for other products that we want to enhance in our province and country, that we don't have quantities but qualities. And we can prove that in the tasting of coffee that the Americans call coffee tasting. Later on, for the Americans, this is going internationally for foreign friends. We're going to have subtitles or to be interpret so they can know. As I was explaining, there are 4 different types of coffee we're going this morning. Initially, we're going to the aromatic, the fragrance. What means we're going to smell them in dry, each of these coffees, to evaluate their characteristics in dry. Then we're going to pour water to enhance the scents. When we're going to put water, we're going to put a chronometer. We're going to wait for 4 minutes. The grains are going to raise on the top, and there's going to be a seal on each of the cups. And this seal is going to avoid that the gases. After 4 minutes, we're going to break the cup with the spoon with very small movement, and from the fragrance is going to come from there. And this is the aroma, and it's going to be a correlation of what we have in dry and what we're going to smell with water. Later, then I'm going to clean the surface of each of the cups, that there's no lump floating on the infusion. And later, after 20 minutes, we're going to evaluate each one of these samples. We, through many years, have dedicated professionally to do this, and we have been pleased to represent our country as judges, leader judges internationally. And it's very impressive, the characteristics of the quality of our cup. I feel that for me, as fifth generation of producer, I'm proud to represent our country and to have a product, excellent product, that is the coffee of Panama. We, through many years, have collaborated with other producers that jointly and with a vision, a joint vision, we have achieved to take the coffee of Panama and to take it internationally in very high levels. That is a leader of coffee of this country internationally. This is a joint work, very heavy, not improvised, and that I believe that is the best example for the primary level as a producer that through many years have achieved that this project, as you mentioned, President, this is a star product. It's very interesting. I would like that during this tasting you can give us some history of Roquette. The first export was done in 1936. We don't know where. It is presumed that it was toward Hamburg in Germany, but we don't know certainly that identifies it as such. In the case of our family, 1873, we are dedicated in this coffee. We have the Tedmans, Lamastus family, and there are the Vasquez as well, the Coiners, McIntyre. These are people that are involved with the coffee world, and through years There are other families that have involved, such as the Petersons, that have incorporated through many years in the coffee sector. In the case of my family, my father was the one that introduced the geisha in the year 63. As him, that had a clear vision, he sat down and said with silicone, with Tacher Lamastus, that to me were people that said difference in the coffee sector, very iconic names. Yeah, of course. For me, their children continue that legacy that these people left, our fathers left, with a clear vision where to take the coffee sector of this country is very important. Going into the specific of practice, why 4? Okay, we're going to use a special protocol. There are different protocols. We're going to use 4 because it's a demonstrative tasting, not a formal professional tasting. If it was a professional formal tasting, we had to use 5 cups. This is for promotion. All of you that can see us internationally through Discover Chiriquí in the circuit of coffee. There are different catas that you can taste. Yeah, this is a great opportunity that makes attractive the province of Chiriquí and makes attractive highlands of Chiriquí. Only for a moderative tasting, it's 4. If there were 5, we have to follow some formal protocols in here. We're going to share with friends, very informally, without taking notes. Why are you taking notes? Time you're tasting, why you take notes? Why you take? Because I have to describe the coffee expresses. The coffee tells you what it is. The tasters nowadays, we become poets. We write the virtues and quality. You're going towards the bohemic side. This is what makes attractive the coffee for the consumers to understand that drinks coffee is a delight that nature gives us, because it's a pleasure. We're going to start from this sample. That is a typical washed. Then we're going to move to bourbon, then to Java, and then we finish with the geisha in their natural process. We are in a pandemic that we have been immunized. The protocols from the pandemic have changed. And being in pandemic, we're supposed that we cannot touch anything from the cups. We can only get close and smell. The same that when tasting, we have to take the infusion and pour it on a separate cup and taste. We're going to start the tasting having the controls of safety. When we're going to taste, we take a little cup, take a liquid from the infusion and pour it on the cup. We taste it. We clean the cup, then we take the next sample. And that's something real, something that is done that is not going to be done today. I know that you sip, and it makes a lot of sound. We're not going to do that. Yeah, you can do that. You pull, because it's a little bit. Yeah, you can do it. Because we have to remember that we have to get wet all of our cavities. We do with that to identify the specific sense. If we let the infusion to touch our cavity, We can identify the flavor, the acidity, the thickness, the body. We get in our mind if there's a balance from the cup, if there's uniformity on the cups, in order to generate our own criteria of evaluation in relation. And we have to evaluate it. Many people say that people are subjective. The tasting have very specific aspects that are evaluated with specific parameters. Perhaps the most subjective aspect is the criteria of the taster, but we are professionals in this. The criteria are very similar. We're going to start. We're going to start on this sample. Please. We're going to start the chronometer. Why not 92 grades? Why it has to be 92? Because it cannot get to the boiling, because otherwise it will seal the pores of the coffee, and that's when it's going to allow the chemistry of the grain to express of its components that shows the different characteristics from aromatics as well as flavor. We did the aromatic section. Now we're going to taste to try to differentiate the characteristics, the sweetness, acidity, the body. We're going to clean the spoon. We take a little, we put it on the cup. We taste it. We take it another sample from another cup, from the following cup. You don't really know how nice is the taste on it. Why you take samples of all the cups? Because we have to evaluate that the characteristics are exactly the same. If we find that one of the cups is not the same, there's no uniformity and there's a flawness, we have to repeat. It can be a grain of coffee, that it could be on a fermentation pile, that it was stayed inside of one of the machines that affected the sample, and we repeat it again, and it was just a grain that is going to affect the lot as such. That's why we have to have 5 cups, 4 cups. Master, what do you say about that? We can hold that and share it at the end. In a tasting, has to be objective. It has to be in silence. You do not share in order to influence the other tasters. You cannot say that coffee is delicious. Just by saying that it's delicious is a good start. It affects my mind that the coffee is delicious. Up to this point, this coffee are in the same level. I cannot see any difference on the taste. Let's see if he's right. And the history gets better. Yeah, I'm going for that one. It is a sensor trip. this cup feels. What do I feel here? We'll talk about it later. It gets better. It's a sensorial, very different, Mr. President. You can taste as many. In order to taste, you have to do it in different stands, in different times, in order to see the consistency of each one of the samples and how it's going to change through time. If it stays the same, there are coffees that are really good. Leave them in the taste table from one day to the other. I cover them and the next day and cold, and I taste them again in order to see if they have the same consistency of the quality. And it's impressive, and you start to understand the behavior of those grains. There are others that get flat, and the next day they don't taste like anything. And there are others that same quality from hot to cold, and they keep these coffees a really sample of those characteristics of quality, what here is presented. We repeat once more, we are privileged by God to have the souls that we have in this province, Chiriquí, that have these characteristics of this coffee, can only be replicated in the province of Chiriquí, and we put it somewhere else in the world. There's not that attachment of being regionalistic, but in order to be objective of what we have to be grateful to God for the soils privilege that we have. You have mentioned something very important. The seeds can be taken to any place in the world, and the climate aspects cannot. And what we have in this area, in Roquette, and in some parts of highlands, and because it's not for all grains, to have the conditions for this excellence, the winds coming from the Atlantic that comes to our province, that bajareque, the small rain that covers the area of Roquette, Volcán, Renacimientos, that makes that we have these characteristics. The areas on the skirts of the Baru, the volcanic soils, are parts of that characteristics, but I don't want to mention once more the importance of our producers without them, that care that they have. They have dressed themselves with quality, and they have compromised themselves with the work, with an effort of that dedication, because it doesn't matter, we have different factors. If our producers don't know how to do the things right, and we have to do another tasting another day. You can take us to Roquette. And Francisco was toasting the coffee right there, and right there he went to the tasting. I don't know if that made a difference, but that was impressive, Francisco. Normally we toast and evaluate very quickly. We should not do that because the coffee doesn't throw out gases. The coffee has a lot of dioxide. The process of taking the gases, normally like for the curiosity, as you who is very curious, I like to toast, take very quickly and taste it. It calls my attention what we do that are not only coffees. Yeah, there are several bags for different areas, and we toast it 10-15 minutes, and they put different times and from different places. Left them for a while before it goes to the process of decasification. and then did the tasting. I exhort everybody that you have not tasted the coffee from Panama. You have that curiosity to come and taste, but come and taste it here. Come and see Francisco to toast the coffee from different area, and he explains where the coffee comes from and the story of each one of them. As in different farms, we have evolutionary. We planted middle-level coffee. We were a country of volume. We have gone back. What it was done back of higher height, geisha, our coffee of tall trees. And that we're in that process of evolution, going back with different characteristics of but they're not that productive, but the quality that they produce are extraordinary that we have in that table. We're going to leave that for another program. All of them are very tasty, very nice. There are different points, different flavors. All of them exquisite. I don't know, Oliver. I have one that I like the best. All of them are, but that Java, natural, called my attention. Have the bitter. There are a lot of fruits. The flavor is different. The process is different. All of the others are traditional, done in a different, produced in a different, specific way. That has a process, an aerobic process, 125 hours, and the geisha is natural, conventional, because we have clients that ask us the way that they want their coffees, and that's for a client from Japan that likes that specific characteristics, the cup, and especially for that, we can specialize the World Cup. And this is a small example of what the coffee industry has developed, but for next different programs, the coffee liquor, there are other things that we can talk about. Final comments, Oler? Principal Francisco, thank you. Francisco explains with small details, and he can go beyond as well of the process that we have gone through here. I like Java. The geisha will be the next option because some aromas very specific, and it is a pleasure and an honor that Francisco has guided us, our paladar, for the coffee, for the energy of the rest of the day that we're accustomed to. It's also important to know the history of what we're taking to our mouth, and that's very important for us in Chiriquí, that we're here next to the producer, and for those that visit us and that invite you to visit to live that experience. Thank you. All of this included in the circuit of coffee. It is part of Discovery Chiriquí. You are all invited to come and visit our beautiful province of Chiriquí. Thank you very much. Goodbye.